Hello students, welcome once again. And this video, I am starting the talks, discussions of important topics from class 11 biology CBSE board. So for CBSE students, class 11 topics I will discuss the important topics, and today it is the chapter 1, which is the living world. Students, you are all aware of these topics. Right from your early classes, you are studying the living beings, the characteristics of living beings, and the differences between a living being and a non-living being. But there have been enormous studies and works for to formulate and to frame various concepts and findings which are helping in our even day-to-day life. So great scientists usually worked on this for over many years they worked, and then they found out the different characteristics and features of living beings. And one name which comes in my mind at present is that of Ernst Mayr, a German scientist who was also known as Darwin of 20th century because of his expertise, of his tireless work in the field of your biology, the various fields of biology, like your classification, taxonomy, the evolution part, and then the different aspects of the history and philosophy of biology. So he was named as the Darwin of the 20th century because of his a very, very important and fruitful contribution to the science of biology. So with that, I am starting this topic, which is you are already aware of, the living beings, students. So we all are seeing living beings around us, and living beings are there right from the bottom of the sea to the top of the hill. So where not? All there, everywhere living beings are there. So living beings, what are the characters? Also we know they are talking, they are moving, they are realizing sensations, they are also responding to various stimulus. So they are respiring, they are digesting, they are also reproduction is there. So all these characters are there in a living being. They are growing, they are moving from one place to another, and they also, this all we are seeing, and they also respond to internal stimulus or external stimulus. But what is happening to many smaller organisms, microorganisms, we are not seeing, but these things are happening there also in the living world. But students, there are some more aspects that you must be aware of. That is the number one, of course, the reproduction is an essential process which is enabling the living organisms to continue existence, to continue their respective species. But and in the reproduction there are asexual method and sexual method also. The smaller organisms, as I was just talking about, they are reproducing by asexual method also, like binary fission and multiple fission, and then your budding, and your regeneration, and then fragmentation, and vegetative propagation. All these things are happening in asexual mode. And in sexual mode, we all know, so these in plants, pollination, and then fertilization, double fertilization, and in animals and human beings, reproductive process we have all studied. The male reproductive part, the female reproductive part, etc. So there we are already aware of, but we should always be also be aware of the fact that in our living bodies, what is there? All the chemicals are there, and these chemicals are being formed, or they are converted into other biomolecules to complete the life processes which are taking place in the system. for existence, for survival, for growth. So these chemicals are doing what? They are being formed. Like in the cellular respiration, enzymes are there which are helping in the cellular respiration. In the long process, which is the Krebs cycle, and in the Krebs cycle, all the enzymes are there. In every step, there is a biochemical reaction. So these chemical reactions, these processes, which are completing the processes which are very very important, which are essential for the living beings, they are constituting the metabolic processes. These are called metabolism. So metabolism is also very important for living organisms. For example, as I said, cellular respiration will not be completed without the metabolic process, without metabolism. The breakdown of glucose has to be there to release energy by which we are all surviving, growing, moving, and also doing all the vital life processes. Energy is required. So energy is being obtained by the breakdown of glucose, which is taking place in the cell and in the cytoplasm in the first phase, and then in the mitochondria, which is also known as the powerhouse of the cell. So how it is being how it is happening? It is happening because of the metabolic processes, because of the metabolism. The metabolism is there in the digestive system also. Metabolism is also there in the excretory system also. Various steps, chemicals are being formed, and then they are again broken down into other biomolecules, and then the process is completed. So metabolic processes have to be there. So this is one very vital feature of the living organism. And then, my dear students, without the organization of cell, can living being survive? No, never. So cell is the basic unit of life. So cell is constituting the structure and the function as well of the living beings. So this organization of cell forming tissues, and then tissues forming organ, and organs forming organ system. So this is what? This is the cellular organization, which is very very important for living organism. Maybe single celled, maybe multicellular, whatever, but the cellular organization is very very important. The more developed organisms, the more developed is the cellular organization. So cellular organization is actually the yardstick for development of living beings. So it is also very very important. So these features you have to add with what you already know, right? So these are important for your living beings. So this is the part of the living world. Now there are so many living beings, right from the bottom of the sea then to the top of the hill, the highest hill in the world. At the top also there are living organisms. So how to identify, how to group them, how to know the different features of these organisms. So that is the second part. The first part is there are so many types that we have to understand of the living organisms. So this means what? This means diversity. Diverse means different types. So that is diversity. Now diversity we all accept. But how to identify, how to recognize, how to study different organisms? So that is what? Classification. You have to divide, you have to make different groups of the living organisms. First of all plants, then animals. Within plants, what are the various types? Within animals, what are the various types? This you have to do. But for doing this, you need a process, you need a system, you need ways. So that process is called the taxonomy. What is taxonomy? The process by which living organisms are classified is taxonomy. Right? Now taxonomy was done by various scientists and of the world, and they followed the international rules for taxonomy, for making groups. Taxas means different categories. How do you classify? You classify by making different categories. So that was done by the various scientists all over the world, and they followed what? International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. This classification is called nomenclature, and for plants it was ICBN, which was followed. The guidelines, were given by this ICBN. How to classify, how to, form different categories in plants. ICBN is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. And for animals also, ICZN was followed. The guidelines provided by ICZN, that is the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. This was followed. So ICBN and ICZN were followed by plants and for animals as well. Now the first nomenclature which was accepted in the entire world was given by the scientist, great scientist Carlos Linnaeus, who gave the binomial nomenclature. Binomial means two components are there in this scientific name. There has to be a scientific name. Why? Because all these organisms are having different names locally at different places in the same country and outside also. It's very difficult to recognize and identify which organisms we are talking about, because they are having the same organism is having different names in the different places in the same country and also in the other countries. So what is happening? So the confusion is being created. Whenever we are talking about organisms, a particular organism, then if the same organism is having different names, how difficult it is to recognize at different places, to identify. There has to be some confusion. So these scientists, Carlos Linnaeus came out with a binomial nomenclature, where he said that the the scientific name will have two components. One is genus, the other is species. Genus will start with a capital letter, and species will be the second component, and it will start with a small letter. Now, what is species? What is genus? Naturally, he came out with all these hierarchy of taxonomy of the organisms. How this hierarchy goes? It starts from species, then to genus, and then to family, and then to order, and then to class, and then from the class to phylum, and from phylum to kingdom. So like this it is the taxonomy, the hierarchy goes from species to genus, genus to family, family to order, and from order to class, and from class to phylum. And this he came out with the taxonomical hierarchy. So species, what is species? Species is the first group of similar organisms, right? First group of similar organisms with little difference, which can, breed among themselves and produce fertile offsprings. So that is the condition for the organisms to fall in the same species. All similar organisms which can interbreed, which can breed among themselves and produce fertile offsprings. But bacteria is also an organism. How this will happen in bacteria? So bacteria, students, is having similar kind of species, but not exactly same as the other plants and animals. So what is happening in bacteria? So bacteria is having a species of bacteria. How we understand these species of bacteria. Actually, in a handful of soil, you will get millions of bacteria. The handful of topsoil, if you take, you will get millions of bacteria. So actually, bacteria exchange genes within a species, but not usually between species. So this applies to bacteria. They exchange genes. They exchange genes, and that is why they are. That is how they are multiplying so fast. The formal definition of bacterial species is framed in terms of DNA hybridization. DNA is being transferred. Even a part of DNA can be transferred, and billions of bacteria will be produced. So this is the difference between the species of bacteria with other living organisms. So this is species, and then when similar species are grouped, they form the genus. In plural, it is genera. Right. So species, the example is what? The scientific name of mango is what? It is Magnifera indica. Indica is the species, Magnifera is the genus. For man, Homo sapiens. Sapiens is the series, Homo is the genus. Now, if we take similar species, they will form a genus. Right. So this is how the genus is formed. And when we talk about crows, the home crow and the hill crow, they are similar but not exactly similar. So they are not in the same species, but they are in the same genus. They are which is called the Corvus. Similarly, similar genera, they form the family. Family is like cat family. Cat family is having tiger, lion, also cat, because they are not. Cat is not very similar to lion and tiger, but the lion and tiger and cat all are in the cat family. So your tiger is all these Panthera. Panthera leo, Panthera tigris is in tiger and lion. Lion and tiger for as respectively, but the Felis is cat, so they are in the same family, and this family is called Felidae. So like this family was formed, and the order was formed by related families, like this cat family, Felidae, with the dog family, which is your Canidae. Canidae is the dog family. Dog, fishes, jackals, foxes, jackals, dogs, foxes, jackals. They are all in which family? In the Canidae family. And they are constituting what? Which order? The Carnivora. So orders have been formed, and their similar orders will form the class. All these organisms or animals with common features, such as your hairy skin and the milk ducts, they are constituting what? A class which is called the Mammalia. So all these animals, they like bats, whales, cats, dogs, and even humans. They fall in this class, which is Mammalia. And then similar classes will form a phylum, which is the biggest division of the living beings, and the biggest division again will be formed by these phylums, which is the ultimate division, that is the kingdom, the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom, kingdom plantae and kingdom animae. So like this, this taxonomy was done, and it was actually given by Carolus Linnaeus. And then the taxonomical aid also you have to study about, and the taxonomical aids are What are the taxonomical aids? They are the, we'll just go through the taxonomical aids a little. Like herbarium is there. Herbarium is the for plants. So the plants are preserved for ready reference and for further studies. So what is done? The plant specimens are dried, are they pressed and preserved on a sheet. This is herbarium. So like this, these are all aiding, helping in the taxonomical studies of all the living beings. Like these botanical gardens are there, where all these living plants are preserved. So these botanical gardens are there in Kew, that is England, and in Howrah, that is the botanical garden, Indian botanical garden, and the National Botanical Research Institute is there in Lucknow. So these are the biggest botanical gardens in the world, and then the museums are also there to preserve animals, insects, etc., which are preserved in these museums. After killing and pinning them, large animals are usually stuffed and preserved. So these are all helping in the taxonomical studies. Zoological parks are also there, where all the animals are kept in their natural habitat. So they are nurtured and developed, grown there. So they are also, used in the ready references for all these various studies in classification and also in taxonomy. So with this, I am closing this chapter, students, and other important things. If there's any, I will come back again. So thank you for patient listening, and wish you all the best. God bless you all. Thank you.